Welcome, this is Nick Marine presenting Let's Read Japanese, course series for the reading of Japanese text alongside its audio counterpart. Today's episode, Shinya Shokudo, Season 2, Episode 7, or it could be 17 of, no, Episode 17 of the series, Episode 7 of the season. We'll keep it like that. Cool. Again, don't know what the story's about. These are episodic in nature, so it doesn't matter what happened before. It's pretty much a standalone story. But they're pretty good as a... This tends to be a really liked series for people, whether or not they're studying Japanese. And I think on Netflix, this has English subtitles available. And then, of course, definitely the ones that were made for Netflix, the seasons 4 and 5, which we'll be getting to in a few weeks. All right, just a heads up, Kyoen NG, the next series I'll be doing in between seasons 2 and 3 is Kyoen NG. It's a 7-episode series. They're each roughly an hour long. So for those, I'll be doing 2 videos per episode, sort of like similar to what I did with GTO. So that'll last for about 14 days total when I'm doing the release schedule. If I ever catch up to where I've got like 14 days of lead time, as far as like these live streams I've done, and then I make them available on a daily set schedule. After that, as long as there's a 2-week buffer, what I might end up doing is just releasing those twice a day. I am probably like one at 8 o'clock, the other at like 9 or 10 o'clock, something like that. Probably, yeah, because they're roughly each about an hour long, so it's not like it's gonna be a little overlap. All right, cool. So with that said, if you end up enjoying this video, give it a thumbs up or a like. Just give it a thumbs up or leave a comment. Feedback's really good. If you like this series, I'd like to see more, you can subscribe to the channel because I plan to make more like this, as I was mentioning. Lastly, this is a part of the Let's Learn Japanese project, and if you like that project, what I'm doing to help the Japanese learning community, you can support that by becoming a member of the Patreon. The links given in the description below, as well as links to the Let's Learn Japanese website, the topic they put together, the Let's Learn Japanese community Discord. And finally, if you'd like to hire me on commission, again, the hourly rates and the payments are done via the Patreon, but a direct link to that is below. And when I say on commission, just mainly technical assistance or advice, usually for people who need to get get started and need some advice to kind of get them started, like one-on-one advice over video instead of just talking back and forth over messages on Discord or whatnot or on Reddit. Okay, with that said, let's get started. Again, this is episode 17. Sometimes they take longer than others. Some episodes take longer than others. Just depends on the what they give us. Okay.
一日が終わり、人々が家路へと急ぐ頃、俺の一日は始まる。営業時間は夜12時から朝7時頃まで。人は深夜食堂って言ってるよ。メニューはこれだけ。あとは勝手に注文してくれりゃ、できるもんなら作るよってのが俺の営業方針さ。客が来るかって？それが結構来るんだよ。
Shinya Shokudo. Let's see, it's a yakuza. It's okay. All right, so I guess pickled vegetables. I think it's Zuke and says, is it Zuke or Zuke? No, that's what it was. Alright, what do we got? It should be starting soon. Lady getting out of the car.
うちに来る客には女一人ってのも結構いるんだよ。
Lucky him.
こんばんは。
Alright, cool.
いらっしゃい。シナリオライターの月子さんは一人で飲みたい時にここへ来るんだ。いつもの。はい。
いただきます。
シナリオライター。
うちの白菜漬けが。
There we go. That's the title. Pakuzaizuke. Make sure.
大のお気に入りでね。はい、ツナマヨと。
ツナマヨ。There's, I forgot her name.
何回やってもこの味が出ないのよね、うちじゃ。
Oh, yeah, that again.
何回やってもこの味が出ないのよね、うちじゃ。マスター、お酒は？
すぐできるよ。
漬物ってその時その時で味が変わってきそうなもんだけど、マスターのはずっと同じ味。
変わらないことは変わることより難しいって言いますけどね。
マスターの場合、変わらないんじゃなくって変われないんじゃないの？
Doesn't want to, isn't able to
厳
change.
しいからな、月子ちゃん。
褒めてんのよ。ああ、そうだ、この間私これお土産で持って帰ったでしょ。あれね。
Okay.
故郷の味って
高級の味。
人それぞれありますよね。私の場合、仙台なんですが、死ぬ前に何が食べたいって聞かれたら、
What do you want to eat before you die?
やっぱり熱々の白いご飯に白菜漬けなんですよね。東京来てしばらくはどうも違和感みたいなものが。
違和感。違和感。違和感みたい。
どうも違和感みたいなものがありましたよね。
そう、なんか違うんだよね。
東京の人にとってはこっちが故郷の味なのかも。
ここんとこ食ってねえな。
好きなんだ運転手さん。
Now, usually for oh, by the way, I'll just mention like for taxis, you'll see now, and it's probably been that way, but you know, again, they'll have the plastic glass behind the head of the driver, you know, just for reasons, you know, because again, it's just, but yeah, usually it's a set price. I think it took it's like 720 yen or 730. It's like they had raised the prices not too long ago, but yeah, so that's kind of a set price once just getting into the car, and then of course it takes you a fair distance before the meter starts adding a price to it. But yeah, it's still probably the way I look at it when it comes to the cost of a taxi. It's probably about the similar price if four of you took a bus to a train to a location. They're roughly the similar price. So if you're just going by yourself, it's, you know, price wise, it's probably just easier. It would be cheaper to go by bus or train, if not, but less convenient. If there's two, three, or four of you, definitely a taxi would be better. Although with four people, you probably can sit three people in the back and one person up front. Although usually the person, you know, usually you don't sit up front, but I'm the bigger person. Usually it's like myself, my wife, and two friends, and you know, especially if they're lady friends, then they're gonna be in the back because they're a lot smaller than I am. So my fat ass is up front. Anyway, sorry.
好
きなんだ運転手さん。
俺も宮城だからお客さんにもあるでしょう、故郷の味。
忘れたなもう。
あの味。
So Kyokyo and Furusato, you hear both. In fact, let's see if they list both. Yeah, so you see Furusato and Kyokyo. I don't know if there's a when you'd use one over the other. You know, you hear both being used. Come on.
東京には
忘れたなもう。
あの味東京にはないんだよな。どれ食ってもなんか違う。
違う。
塩だか白菜だか。
ねえ運転手さん、ちょっとこれ食べてみてよ。
お
Maybe don't distract the driver while he's driving. Dude, you're driving. Okay, eyes on the road.
お、
白菜漬けか。
運転者前。
おありがとう。
怖いな。口に合うかどうか。
大丈夫、私が保証する。ここの宣伝もしといたから今度来るかもよ。
He definitely doesn't want. Oh,
もしかしてシナリオライターの前岡月子さんですか？
あ、そうだけど。
私ファンなんです。すごい私本当にファンで、特にブライダルパラダイス大好きなんです。
Bridal paradise, but bridal paradise.
特にブライダルパラダイス大好きなんです。ブラパラ。
あ、あれね。
Buddha para? Oh, okay. Buddha para. Gotcha.
プロデューサーと結構揉めちゃって、あんなにヒットすると思わなかったんだけどね。
そうなんですか。でもそんな風に全然見えなかったです。私今でも録画消さずに撮っといてありますもん。
どうもありがとう。どうも。
Very
私
excited.
今でも録画消さずに撮っといてありますもん。
どうもありがとう。
こんばんは。
いらっしゃい。
あらん、月ちゃん。
さん。
こみちゃん。マスター、玉焼きとビールね。
はいよ。
メルボ元気？
めちゃめちゃ元気。
Merhaba. Guess that's just that. Merhaba.
メルボ元気？
めちゃめちゃ元気。見て見て見て。
メルボーってのは小鈴さんの飼ってる猫メルルの息子で、この店が縁で月子さんが引き取った子猫のことだ。
たださ、私が夜帰るでしょ。あんまり遅く帰るとひっかいたり噛んだりもすごいの。
You're in Kandari. Make sure. Come on. There we go. It's not Kamu. No. Okay.
でもすごいの。本気で噛むから痛くて。でもあんまり遅く帰るとひっかいたり噛んだりもすごいの。本
Okay, never mind. It is Kamu. Okay. Cling on and biting. Okay.
気で噛むから痛くて。
I was thinking of like a full phrase like Tari Kandari, but Kamu. Okay.
本当に？
本当に
変ね。月ちゃんとこ持ってった時美月でしょ。それまでは兄弟で遊ばしてたから甘噛みは知ってるはずなんだけどな。
甘噛み。
甘噛みは知ってるはずなんだけどな。ああ、やっぱり猫にも血筋ってあるのね。うちのメルルもひどいの、やきもち。男よ男、匂ってるの。
まあ、いやらしい。
That's that's kind of weird.
猫には嘘はつけないのよ。
確かにそうかも。鋭いなあ、小鈴さん。
人生何でも仕事の材料なのね。
Gathering materials. You say? Let me skip forward a bit. This kind of reminds me of the scene from Evangelion. Like there was like this 2 to 3 minute scene where it's just focusing on the watch by the desk, I think. I wonder if they're playing off that on purpose, or maybe I'm just overreading it.
吐いた息を吸ってぽっかりと。
月子。
Okay.
月
No say.
子。締め切りは気にしなくていいから。編成の方は俺が何とでもやっとく。
平成。高校のものは、I know that's publication. Composition's okay. 編成の方。
編成の方は俺が何とでもやっとく。周りのことは考えなくていいからさ。とにかく月子がやりたいように書いてみろよ。俺は一番それが読みたい。
分かった。
じゃあよろしく。
ありがとう。
It's kind of a noisy kiss, but okay.
Oやすみ。
Alright, skip forward a little bit. Okay, go into the house. She's got to smell of the cat. Okay. um,
Melbo, ただいま。
もしかするとメルボーにはその後のことが分かっていたのかもしれないな。
Oh, okay, so the affair became public. Okay. Myopa. Okay. Urapada. Okay. Having an affair with the
とろくでも
producer.
ねえよな。このライターってのもさ、どうせ女使って仕事もらってんだって。ライターはライターでもまた開いたってな。
See if that's a. Okay, so that's obviously a reference to her crotch, but Matahi. Let's do that again.
また開いたってな。
いらっしゃい。
That's the producer, right?
はいよ。
プロデューサーもプロデューサーでさ、仕事やるからやらせろみたいな感じだろ。
マジっすか？
決まってんだろ。権力使ってんだよ。職権乱用だっつの。
Shokin of the hiring power. Abuse of one of the authorities. Shokin Danyo.
職権乱用だっつの。この女だけじゃないよきっと。モデルとか女優とか。他にもいろいろやりまくっちゃってんだって。ほんとろくでもねえよな。
羨ましいっすよね。
大体よ、プロデューサーって何やってんだ。
Let me hear something real quick.
大体
羨ましいっすよね。
大体よ、プロデューサーって何やってんだ。ただいるだけやろ。ザギンで C メイクとか。
Zakinde. Ginza. Really? She may. I don't get that real quick.
シェルポ乗っちゃった。ザギンで C メイクとか。 シェルボ乗っちゃった。
Shitable. I guess these are. I'm not getting the references. Shootable.
おざま。
ごちそうさまでした。
前岡さんがよくこの白菜漬けの話してて。
そうかい。
来てますか？
いや、
ろくでもないか。
Which Roto it is. Roku. Roku でもないか。
ろくでもないか。確かに世間様には何も言い訳できないけどさ、その人の才能に惚れるってことはあるじゃないですか。それがたまたまこっちが男で向こうが女で。
うん。
ふとした拍子に。
ふとした。思いかけない。ふとした。よし。Music? Japanese music? Rhythm.
ふとした拍子に。間違ってるってことは分かってても、それでも飛び込んでしまう気持ちっていうか。あるんだよな。
月子さんがやってきたのはそれから1週間ほど経った頃だった。
いらっしゃい。
あら、月ちゃん。
お酒と白菜漬けちょうだい。
あいよ。
西口のホテルにいるんだけどね、
うん。
こんな缶詰初めてよ。
缶詰。うん。So it seemed they said saying like these troubles, right? As well. Let's see. Probably like that one right there. I can find someone. こんな缶詰。
こんな缶詰初めてよ。世の中って面白いよね。こういう時だけ超売れっ子って言ってくれんだから。
メルボー。
メルボー。
野瀬さんはね、私の作品を一番分かってくれてる人なの。お前のやりたいようにやれって言ってくれた初めてのプロデューサー。作品 金でつながってると彼の奥さんや子供のことなんかどうでもよくなってきちゃって。
Okay. That maybe I didn't see that part. I guess because Fudin, I guess I would have suggested he was married. Maybe if I looked at the watch on the desk, it would have gave the hint that yeah, he was also a married person. I guess, which again makes the scandal a bit more scandalous. If it was just again just a couple of people who just in a production. I can't imagine that. I mean, there would still be articles or something making something out of it, but yeah.
何でも仕事の材料にするんじゃなかったのか？
限界かな。そろそろ限界かな。
Maharu Ekimae Bangaichi. Yeah, I have not heard of that show. I might have seen it because sometimes you see shows on TV, you just don't know what the titles are. Uh-oh, cat. Come back here. Oh no. Oh no 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 no.
おお、あんだ。
猫見なかった。
Oh.
まあそっち。
Oh boy.
嘘。
Boy. Okay.
どうだった？
おじさん。
どうだったのよ。
右の後ろ足が折れちゃって、あとは大丈夫だったみたいだけど、しばらく入院だって。
ひとまず無事か。
うん。
よかった。
Basically, hitamazu. The time being. Okay.
送ってくから。
All right, so it's Mahoro Eki. All right, I'll see if it's around. I'm always in search for because again, there's actually not that a large number of Japanese dramas on Japanese Netflix. I mean, you can compare it to like if you go again, there's a large list of anime, but yeah, not as far as dramas. I don't think it's that big of a list. So they're not all of them are that great. Yeah, some of them actually suck. But yeah, okay, it's always good to have something that has a pretty good feel to it.
乗りな。うまかったよ。白菜漬け。
私もね。おじさん。
うん。
私もね、おじさんと故郷一緒なの。
うん。
そうかい。泣いてでもしょうがねえから。
うん。
先週帰った時海行ったんだ。そうするとさ、海岸にカニがいだ。
そうするとさ、そうすると、see that's a full phrase. No.
そうするとさ、海岸にカニがいだ。そんなもんもういねえと思ってたらさ。
生きてたんだ。
うん。
Okay, here Here's the song. あなたの涙は青い星。I wonder if there's a phrase for that. 閉ざす。It's closing, huh? Tozasu. I don't think I've heard it that way. I wonder why is that? Tozasu. Tozasa. Tozasu. Tozasarete. Desho. Okay.
面白いよ。文句なしに。やったね。面白いよ。文句なしに。
吹っ切れたのかな。
吹っ切れたの。Probably that one. 吹っ切れたのかな。
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 書き出したら止まらなくなった。
Okay. Oh, she's talking about how she was just basically the words just burst out of me and just fell into the pages, you know, like that one guy said in another sad movie.
すぐ会社に見せるよ。やっぱり俺たち作品で証明していくしかないんだよな。
They can't trust. Basically, they're not trusted with their own judgment, with their own, judgment. So they have to basically have to be have a second look, which should always be that way anyway. But
もう終わりにしましょう。
ちょっと待てよ。
出ないと私進めない。
そっか。
持ってかないの？
受け取れないよ。その本は月子自身だから。月子、ありがとな。今度のドラマ、半年後、月子さんの書いた連続ドラマが始まった。半年後、月子さん。
生きていれば。Okay. Alright.
さんの書いた連続ドラマが始まった。
連続ドラマ。I guess is that supposed to be like a daily drama? Serial drama, yeah. 連続ドラマ。連続ドラマだ。
半年後、今度のドラマ、評判いいみたいじゃない。
おかげさまで。マスター、私ね、今日デートなの。
また月ちゃん懲りないのね。
懲りないのね。懲りない。Makes sense. 懲りない。懲りる、懲りない。Okay. Makes sense. So, 懲りる。あることをした際に嫌な目にあって、再び同じことをする記録がなくなる。失敗が懲りる。懲りるない。懲りる。I like that. Okay. In fact, actually, I want to see that kanji one more time. Why? So it's fairly frequent. I don't recall it though. Let's see. Yeah, it's definitely in why am I? So it should be indications and then a heart, so it should be penalized. I don't know.
月ちゃん懲りないのね。
そんなんじゃないわよ。
こんばんは。
いらっしゃい。
Oh. The taxi driver.
マスター、白菜漬け大盛りね。
はいよ。
白菜漬けはつける前に半日ぐらい陰干しすると。
影干し let dry for about half a day. 洗濯など yeah, just let dry out in the sun. Oh, dry out in the sun. ぐらい影干し
白菜漬けはつける前に半日ぐらい陰干しすると旨味や甘みが凝縮されます。
いや甘みが OK、stiffen into it 凝縮バラバラのものが一つにこまっている so basically OK sprinkle condensation、凝縮されます
旨味や甘みが凝縮されます。あとはお好みで昆布や鷹の爪を加えてつけると
昆布や鷹の爪OK oh 鷹の爪OK that's the little small pepper the red pepperish thing okay you see it different ways sometimes you see it with the kanji for hawk it's because taka is hawk tsume is claw so like the hawk's claw but very easiest that's the easiest way to remember it but when I'm seeing it like that it's like it's not ringing a bell as much
あとはお好みで昆布や鷹の爪を加えてつけると
一層うまくなります。
では
おやすみなさい。
There we go. Not a big fan of tsukemono. I mean, hakusai. I mean, I have it now and again, but I mean, it's not like the thing I like really want. It's like it wouldn't be like my favorite food, but as a snack, it's fine. As a side dish for a meal, it's fine. It just depends also on how it's made, because like sometimes some people make it stronger than others, so it has like so it just hits you a lot harder. But again, it's pickled. Again, it's just pickled vegetables. If my understanding of it is correct. There we go. All right, so and like I said, this is fairly quick, so we're at the 40-minute mark. So let's go with the conversation. So anyway, first off, thanks for Aman and ET. ET's also, if you see in the comments, is adding a little bit more extra information for what I'm not quite getting in what I'm reading. A few things. Those us like for example, that one right there. Obviously, I could see it through the dictionary. And once you see it in the dictionary, it's obvious, it does mean like shimeru for that. I just never seen it used in that way. And again, there's like, to get probably at an adult level of Japanese, you're probably going to need like 30,000 to 40,000 words under your belt. Now, that doesn't mean you got to add 20, 30,000, 40,000 words in Anki. What you're going to happen with immersion is a lot of that vocabulary is going to be picked up through the immersion. Now, you can help speed up the process by doing the Anki study. So that helps speed up the process so you get those words memorized that are being difficult. But if you're, especially like me, when you do Morphman, what happens is as I'm going through Morphman, there's a lot of words that pop up that are not in Anki. It's saying, hey, it's not in Anki, but I click known because I already know what the word is. So I don't have to worry about that. And again, so just through the reading process, and if you read more and more, you will start picking up words. And again, so don't feel like, just because it's a new word, you got to immediately add it to Anki. Because of the nature of, you could depend upon the Krashen concept of what I+1 is when he goes. Now, there's two ways of looking at I+1. When I+1, when adding cards to Anki, that just means, hey, add something that uses an example sentence where there's just one thing in that sentence which is something you don't know. Okay, that would make a great I+1 sentence. And then what I do is, like, from that I draw out, hey, here's that vocabulary word, and it uses that sentence as the context for that word. So that's it, one way of doing I+1. Another way, which Krashen really says I+1 really is, or N+1, whatever it is that that's the word that is in that sentence that you're ready to learn. Like, it's at the point where you're ready to learn that word. All right, so that's what I+1 is, and you get that through comprehensible immersion because of in some type of content that's comprehensible. Something pops up you don't know, but because of the comprehensible content, you understand what that word means through the context. And sometimes it's just because, hey, you start learning, especially when you get like, I forget the terminology for it, but for like the combination words, like harai komu, maybe that's the wrong way of saying it, nomikonde, what was a good one for here? But you can kind of see from the two words that are being used, the context makes sense as to what it means. For example, some of it because of the prefix or the suffix kanji or word, because of that is very common. Then you kind of understand, like food. When you add food to something, you kind of understand that it gives a negative sense to the word that it's added to. Or teki, it adds more of a ization to something. Actually, that's ka. It means like ization, like whereas teki means kind of, it's a bit more harder to describe, but you kind of get a sense for it. Because of, again, that means that you don't have to be, there are words where through context, once you see it, you'll understand it immediately once you see it. That doesn't mean you know it, but that's fine, like I said. And there's, what Anki can be great for is for building up your active vocabulary, so words that you're more likely are going to use actively. And there's some ways you can train that. At the moment, though, early on, what you do with Anki is you're training your passive. You're getting up your passive level strong enough so that then you can start making headway into your reading comprehension, your reading immersion and listening immersion, where, again, that's going to be your most massive exposure to the Japanese language, to the massive amount of vocabulary and phrases that are out there, in addition to accents and even some other things outside of that. But again, that's where the immersion is going to be important. So the more comprehensible the immersion, the more you're going to get out of it. And that's where you're really going to get that I+1 benefit that Krashen really says I+1 is all about. But again, you're using your studying techniques to help speed up the process. So again, part of it is early on you're trying to improve your comprehension of your input comprehension. So the passive comprehension. Then what you can also do with Anki is the little trick of the trade is also start doing it for training the output process. Now, there are different ways of looking at what output can be. For me, it could be, for example, when I hear a word and I hear the word in context, can I write that word in kanji? Normally, you don't have to write shit out by hand or even type stuff out by hand. But if you know what, usually adults know what kanji go to a particular word. If they, right? So that could be it's reasonable to say if the average Japanese adult would know which kanji go for that word, it's basically like knowing how to spell a word. If an average U.S. adult knows how to spell a particular word, then it makes sense that someone learning English should also know how to spell that word. You can hear people try to make, well, you don't need to know how to spell. That's what autocorrect is for. That's kind of an idiotic excuse. It's like, you don't need to know kanji. That's what typing autofills it. You don't, that's kind of an idiotic excuse. If if the average Japanese adult has this level of ability, it's reasonable to say, hey, that's an ability you kind of want to build up over time, if that makes sense. So that's one way of doing output. So for me, like when I hear a word, can I write it out in kanji? Now, I don't write it out physically, I write it out in my head. But if I write it out in my head, I can write it out physically, so that's fine. Same thing with kanji. You know, there's a certain number of kanjis that the average Japanese adult should be able to write properly if they were being informed like a particular word or a particular word that uses that kanji. If that's true, then hey, it makes sense that you should be able to write a particular kanji from memory. That should make sense. All right. That doesn't mean you need to know all the kanji. It's just that, hey, there's stuff that the average Japanese adult has the ability. Why not aim for that? Okay, then finally there's the other type of production that you probably don't want to start off on, but has been mentioned. I don't know if it's a very good way. If you want to use Anki, and that's called massive context. So what's called closed deletion, where you delete a part of a sentence or some type of context, but you delete a part of it, and then your job is to fill it in. I guess early on, you don't have, the closest you can probably do is like the grammar books that have questions. So if you take the question from a grammar book, can you fill in the blank? There's that. I don't recommend it with vocabulary. It feels like you're probably gonna, because there's probably like there are different I think like there are appropriate words that go into that plate. They can multiple words, so you don't want to depend on just that one being the answer. I could be wrong. Those are very difficult parts to make, and I don't recommend it. But it's one way if you want to practice production via Anki. However, personally, and we've talked about this before, is a good way of practicing production is get a tutor. In a way, and the purpose of the native tutor is to correct your output. And so again, the tutor is, like I was mentioning before, is mainly helping you develop 2 to 5 minutes of speaking. And then that 2 to 5 minutes is perfect. All right, so take an hour to develop 2 to 5 minutes of perfect, something to say perfectly. And then every hour after that, another 2 to 5 minutes of material. Try to go with that nature. Try to go in that way. And it's kind of similar to what I've done, if you ever saw it, like I've said, originally did with, it comes to what these Let's Reads are all about. The idea of Let's Reads is to make a TV show that you watch much more comprehensible. And when you first start off, just the 5 minutes of, maybe 5 minutes of audio would probably take you an hour to understand, because you have to look up almost everything. All right, but after that time, if you rewatch it, then re-listen to it, or try to comprehend not just vocabulary, but something, try to comprehend the phrases and the grammar that goes into everything. That 5 minutes is like super comprehensible to you. Everything else is kind of incomprehensible still. But okay, cool. You spent an hour to make 5 minutes comprehensible. Then you keep doing that for another 5 minutes, and spend another hour to make the next 5 minutes. Spend another hour to make the next 5 minutes. So maybe about 10 hours, you've turned an entire hour of TV show into something comprehensible. That's like your very first experience to it. But over time, it goes a little faster. And that could also happen with your tutor for your output ability. Like it might take you an hour to get 2 to 5 minutes worth of material down to where you're able to say it appropriately. But maybe later on, it could be that same amount of time can be done in a half hour or 10 minutes. It can start getting faster and faster the more you do it. If you want to go that way. So if you want to practice output, again, consider getting a tutor, because again, the native tutor will immediately pick up on your mistakes and hopefully able to correct those mistakes. Whereas that's something you probably are not going to be able to do on your own, because you're not going to notice the mistakes you make, especially when it comes to output. Maybe if you play it back to yourself, but now you're still running the risk, like maybe you didn't notice that what you're saying is wrong, because you don't have that native like perception that again is available through italki. Something to consider. So yeah, starting off, I would argue, don't worry about output so much. If you output, it's fine, but don't worry about it. Mainly you're just going to be copying or mimicking, shadowing. But try to build up your native abilities of when you hear something, you understand it. When you read something, you understand it. Get that up to a high level. Then you can start the output process. It's much easier, because you're not fighting the language. You're fighting more like the nuance of the speaking or the conversation nuances You know, the part that doesn't go into the text or the words for you to what you understand, but still exists. It's noticeable. Yeah. I guess it's. I'm sure there's different ways of explaining the importance of that, but yeah. I'm going to end that there. Thank you all very much. So yeah, thank you, Aman and ET, for your comments. This has been Shinya Shokudo Season 2, Episode 7 for the season, Episode 17 for the series. Hakuzai Suke. Hakuzai Suke. It was a pretty good story. Pretty good story. If you enjoyed this video, remember to give a thumbs up and leave a comment. If you enjoyed the series, subscribe to see more. If you enjoyed what I'm doing with the Japanese learning community as a Let's Learn Japanese project, you can support the Patreon with the links below, as well as the links to the website and the community Discord. Finally, there's the link if you want to hire me on commission. There are direct links to that for the hourly rates and payment via the Patreon. And again, by commission, it's mainly just technical assistance to get started. The main thing, but it can be other things as well, like you're in between, or you're looking to shift gears, or you're having some issues that, you know, again, you'd like to help on, or assistance. There you go. That's all it's about. I'll be back with episode 8. It might be for a live stream, it'll be today, but on, I'll have to write this down. Let's see. That's the wrong page. June. Where's July? Am I missing something? Oh, here it is. There we go. Yeah, this will be on July 28th. Cool. All right. Be back with the next episode. Thank you all very much, and see you later.